Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. Today, there's hardly a person who doesn't listen to music. All of us do. But you see, when a music artist is performing, he is the lead singer, and he has multiple background vocalists, and they're harmonizing with him to create the magic OD music. The main artist is the one who gets the most fame. He is the one who signs the biggest deals. He's the one who is loved by millions of people all around the world. He is the one with millions of followers on social media. Do you ever think why those background vocalists do not get to be as big and successful as the main artist? They're talented with beautiful voice. They harmonize perfectly. They can write songs. They can create their own music. But why don't they? What's stopping them? What separates them from the main artist who is getting all the attention? What if I told you that only 1% of the people achieve their dreams? Have you ever sat and wondered what separates the extraordinary from ordinary? These are not some random questions. These are the questions which all of you have definitely asked yourselves at one point in your lives. And let me tell you, all of these extraordinary people do not become extraordinary by merely luck or chance. These 1% of the successful people must have adopted some genius mindset and distinctive habits which separate them from the other 99%. Success is elusive. Most people strive for it, yet few attain it. This video will explore the key factors that differentiate the 1% from the 99%. We'll uncover the mindsets, habits, and strategies that lead to extraordinary achievements. So stick around, because the strategies and tips we're going to provide are going to be pivotal in helping you become a part of that successful 1%. The man has this inherent tendency to be afraid of failures, of taking risks, of leaving his comfort zone. But unless he works against these inherent tendencies, he will always remain in the shadow of the other 1%. This fear of failure is perfectly and logically depicted in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Covey introduces us to the concept of the circle of influence and the circle of concern. This distinction between two sub-concepts allows a person to focus only on the things that are under his direct control, and it allows that person to ignore every other thing which is not in his control, rather than getting consumed by anxiety and frustration due to external factors and influences. Here, Covey includes all the things that are out of your direct control, and focusing on them leads one to time wasting and allowing unwanted anxiety to take over. For example, when you say, "What if that person thinks about me in a negative way?" Or, "What if I'm unable to make this business succeed?" Zrenia, it takes your focus and concentration away from preparation and hard work, and it directs your focus towards anxiety. Dwelling on things in this circle drains emotional energy and multiplies feelings of helplessness. In this circle, Covey includes everything that is under your direct control. For example, learning new skills, giving yourself a proper time for preparation, learning to deal with difficult situations, controlling your emotions, and whatnot. And this is the approach which is developed and implemented by the highly successful people. How does this approach eliminate the fear of failure? When you focus on the things you can do and the things you can influence, you build confidence, you build certainty, and you cultivate self-belief. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, "Fear defeats more people than any other thing in the world." Procrastination and inaction are the two of the challenges everyone faces in life. Overcoming them not only requires unparalleled motivation, but also that inside fire to join the successful 1%. Stephen Pressfield, in his book The War of Art, describes the concept of resistance and correlates it with procrastination and inaction. According to Pressfield, this resistance is some kind of an internal force, a blockage which prevents us from action. According to this concept, overcoming resistance equals overcoming procrastination. But how did this resistance lead to procrastination? Resistance programs your brain in such a way that it makes you believe you need a perfect plan, an all-sorted-out plan and strategy to do something meaningful. And you need a series of perfect conditions to make that plan work. Thus, delay action indefinitely. For example, you may delay starting a business thinking you need a master plan and perfect conditions for it to work. Thus, this resistance will lead to indefinite procrastination. As Edward Young once said, procrastination is the thief of time. Thus, overcoming this resistance is very challenging, but very possible. By committing to action and pushing through fear and excuses, you can combat inaction and procrastination. As Pressfield wrote, resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing your work. It will perjure, it will falsify, it will seduce you, but you must act in the face of resistance or it will defeat you. Sometimes lack of self-belief leads to doubting your abilities, which makes you feel like you're unworthy of success. Brené Brown, in her book, Daring Greatly, sees this as a form of vulnerability which leads people to embrace courage and helps them thrive. According to her, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is rather a birthplace of courage, creativity, accepting your own flaws, and making realistic choices. She brilliantly introduces the idea of embracing vulnerability. When you are willing to show up and risk failure despite imperfections, it strengthens your belief in yourself. In the words of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the only limits to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, Carol Dweck introduces the concept of growth mindset and fixed mindset. According to her, excuses stem from the fixed mindset, while growth mindset allows you to see challenges as learning tools which will help you grow and unlock your hidden potential. For example, fixed mindset: I don't have enough time for exercise. Growth mindset: I can dedicate 20 minutes of my time every day to my health. This example perfectly depicts key difference both of these mindsets, and tells you how important it is to have a growth mindset to overcome excuses. In the words of Nelson Mandela, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Daniel Kahneman, famous for his work on cognitive biases and decision-making flaws. He introduced two systems on which human beings think and make decisions. System 1. It is the fast thinking system. It is based on making quick decisions without deeply analyzing the problem. It is more prone to cognitive biases. System 2. It is the slow thinking system. It is based on making thoughtful decisions which are analyzed deeply. This system makes less room for cognitive biases. You all are very much aware of Yahoo. It was once an internet pioneer, but due to missed several opportunities and poor decision-making, including the chance to buy Google for $1 million in 1998 and Facebook for $1 billion in 2006. But poor management and failure to innovate led to its decline. By 2017, Yahoo was sold to Verizon for around $4 billion. Grab the opportunities as soon as possible. Inability to make difficult decisions can result in missed chances to dominate a market. Focus and innovation are crucial. You can't always lean onto the traditional ways. You need to renovate your brand according to the needs of time. Nokia. Who doesn't remember those Nokia phones in early 2000s? They were the world's largest mobile phone company. But due to failure to adapt to the rise of the smartphones and underestimating the impact of iPhone and Android, it failed to compete with them, and its phone division was sold to Microsoft in 2014. Develop the mindset of embracing innovation. Companies must evolve with technological trends and consumer preferences. Focus on user experience. Apple and Android prioritized usability, which Nokia neglected. That 1% which everyone is striving to join. But what does these 1% people have which differentiates them from the other 99%? Let's look into what the research says. A study of current studies reveals that entrepreneurs frequently exhibit specific personality qualities such as high levels of self-efficacy, innovativeness, and a strong internal center of control. These characteristics add to their capacity to discover and seize business opportunities. The results of the research study show that persistence and a constant drive for self-improvement are traits of successful people. They are able to overcome obstacles and accomplish long-term objectives because of their inherent motivation. Let's talk about the key traits of the 1% successful people. The term grit, coined by Angela Duckworth, refers to the drive and tenacity required to achieve long-term objectives. Regardless of their IQ or skill, people with greater levels of grit are more likely to succeed, according to her research. These findings tell that by persistence and resilience, you are able to nurture grit, which will multiple your chances of success. According to Dr. Edwin Locke's goal-setting theory, performance is higher when goals are clear and difficult rather than ambiguous, unclear, or simple. Establishing difficult but reachable goals encourages people to work harder and succeed at greater levels. On the other hand, overly challenging goals, which almost seem impossible, might cause lack of motivation and thus poor performance. In her book, Mindset: The New Psychology of Success, Carol Dweck explains the concept of growth mindset. According to her, instead of seeing challenges as things to avoid, people with a growth mindset welcome them and see them as chances to develop and learn. They are aware that failures are a necessary component of learning and that effort results in progress. People who have this perspective are more likely to endure hardships and keep going when they fail, which promotes resilience. In the words of Steve Jobs, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey compares continuous learning to sharpening the saw. He believes that if you don't make the effort to keep your abilities up to date, you'll eventually become less effective. He encourages people to always take part in activities which allow emotional and physical renewal, thus making you resilient to overcome every challenge. The only thing constant is change. Heraclitus. In his book 0 to 1, Peter Thiel explores the concept of taking calculated risks. He believes that by taking calculated and precisely measured risks, one is able to innovate and get groundbreaking success. Thiel believes that taking a completely different approach, going from 0 to 1, is the only way to advance, and this involves taking risks and moving outside of one's comfort zone. He highlights that successful innovators and entrepreneurs take calculated risks with the potential for large profits in order to establish new markets rather than just competing in already existing ones. In the words of Nelson Mandela, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." In his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, Timothy Ferriss gives some valuable efficiency and productivity hacks. He challenges the conventional methods of work and productivity and brings forward the 80-20 rule, which encourages people to concentrate on the tasks that will have the biggest returns by stating that by focusing only on these important and productive tasks, 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. This idea encourages you to work more efficiently, which increases productivity. Simply putting in more hours without knowing the turnover of the tasks is more time-wasting than rewarding. In the words of Samuel Goldwyn, "The harder you work, the luckier you get." Robert Cialdini correlates the themes of human psychology and building trustable relationships. He introduces the concept of reciprocity, the idea that by valuing the efforts of other people, one is better able to build strong connections based on mutual respect. He also explores the concept of social proof, which means people tend to follow the actions of other people. By understanding both of these terms, you can leverage these long-lasting relationships in your favor. In the words of John Donne, "No man is an island." It is essential to identify your why, which includes asking yourself, what do you want in this life? What motivates you to push forward even in the face of challenges? Logically, why do you want to pursue your goals, passions, and dreams? When you understand your why, it becomes an unstoppable force which pushes you to move forward and overcome all the obstacles and blocks and destroy all the doubts and fears, hence becoming a fuel which drives you towards success. So what are you waiting for? What is stopping you from becoming unstoppable? Start right now. Focus and analyze these habits of the successful 1% and take out all the habits of the rest of the 99% from your routine. Make the difference. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Eleanor Roosevelt.